What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the All About the Arcades podcast. This is episode 5. My name is Joe, also known as JJ General 1. Today, guys, we have a very special guest. His name is Tony the Arcade Dad on YouTube, and we're going to be asking him some questions about, his background, who he is in life, and what he does on YouTube, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the Claw Council today. If you guys know from some of my previous stuff that I've talked about either on my videos or previous podcasts, I have mentioned the Claw Council, and he's actually, I think, one of the founding people of it. So we're going to be talking to him and see, how it got started and what the idea of the Claw Council and everything is and who some of the people are. So Tony, hey, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks so much, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just want to, touch base, say, how's it going, man? Just having fun, and hopefully you're filming all kinds of good stuff and got all kinds of good new videos coming out.
Oh, absolutely. I've been actually going to be traveling around at the end of next week. The following week, we're going to be out in New Orleans, and yeah, we've got a lot of travel in the next couple months coming up. It's going to be awesome.
That's awesome, man. So anyways, okay, so Tony, who are you, and what do you do in life, and maybe a little bit of background about yourself?
All right, loaded question. I like it. Who am I? I am Tony. I have an arcade YouTube channel called The Arcade Dad. Like you mentioned earlier, I am one of the 2/3 founding fathers of the Claw Council. I've done so much in the past, but currently I work with the military. Making sure that people can actually get scholarships for college. That's a lot of fun, and do YouTube in the spare time.
Okay, so what got you into the YouTube stuff? What made you want to start the YouTube channel? I mean, obviously you're an arcade player like myself. Let's go back. Let's back up a little bit first. Let's go to the arcades. What got you into the arcades as an individual before we even get into the YouTube stuff?
Arcades as an individual. So I grew up we lived in Monroe, Louisiana growing up, and I call it the armpit of Louisiana. And because my family lived way, way, way below the poverty line whenever I was growing up. And a lot of my friends were not as unfortunate, so we had all their birthday parties at the arcades, and I was never allowed to play them. And I couldn't play a single Planet Claw machine. We just couldn't afford it. So I got my first job whenever I was 14 as a bagger at Winn-Dixie, working 8 hours a week. On the weekends, 4 hours Saturday, 4 hours Sunday. And we had a single claw machine that was tucked away in the corner there. And I always wanted to play it. My mom and dad said, no, you can't play it. We can't afford it. So, of course, whenever I got my paycheck in, I wanted to play that claw machine because I've never gotten to do it before. And I was always told, don't play it. You can't win from those. It's impossible. And, me practicing magic tricks and everything since I was 10, my one little thing I was allowed to do because I got a magic set, I learned to think outside the box, and, I applied that thinking to that one claw machine, and after playing it for a couple weekends, I started winning from it consistently and surprising not only the people I worked with, but my family as well. And, as I progressed further in life later in my teen years, whenever I continued to work and continued to afford it, I started playing at the video arcades with Mortal Kombat, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, all those good games. And then future times playing the ticket games and getting as good as those as I possibly can.
That's pretty cool. Actually, it's kind of funny. A lot of us, it sounds like, it almost sounds like Matt's background too, with the claw machines as your inspiration that got started in hey, there's this world out here, and then into the arcades of, like you said, Miss Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam. Those were the crazy arcade games back in the day where they didn't give tickets. It was just to play. And then those games came from the arcades and were ported, as it was called, to the home consoles. But the only way to play those before they ever hit the home consoles, or if you couldn't afford the home consoles, was to go to the arcades. And that was the place to hang out and just have fun at. pumping in quarter after quarter of your allowance or whatever you earn, your paychecks at whatever point you started making paychecks in life. And it's just one of those things that, like, it's kind of funny that we all kind of got that start from, okay, there was a claw machine in like a grocery store or at a restaurant or something like that that piqued your interest and just drew you in, Yeah,
it's insane that a little machine, that back in the late 40s, early 50s was being outlawed across the nation, the little digger claw machines, for being as bad as the feds called it, as bad as slot machine playing, and like presented as the equivalent of an illegal gambling machine, is bringing such a big community together and started so many people on this path to just playing games. It's insane.
And that's crazy. I didn't know that it was actually on the path of being outlawed. I guess it would be I guess they were considering it a form of gambling, even though it really isn't. I mean, it kind of is because you're taking a chance to play, but it's not gambling in the sense that we know it as, like the casinos and things like that. It's playing a game that you actually have a chance to win every time if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
At least back then it was, not now.
Yeah, if you're on an e-claw, there's a completely different story.
Yeah, and I've touched base on those. I think it was episode 2 of the podcast about the different types of claw machines and arcade games out there and the payout rates on like ticket games and claw machines. Things have definitely changed in the last, 20, 30 years, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're in the military there, sir. What branch are you in? And let me just say thank you for your service right off the bat.
No, thank you guys so much for the support. Nothing gets done without the support of everybody in the community, so that's awesome. In the Air Force, I'm not going to touch too much on what I do or where I do it, but I've been in the Air Force for about 12 years now.
And have you been overseas? I mean, you don't have to discuss this if you don't want to.
I have been to 143 countries doing security in the past.
And that is just crazy because I've been to like one other country in my life, which is Canada. And everybody laughs at that because, oh, you didn't go far. It's like, well, I never really traveled much.
And it's funny because, the vast majority of people in America have never set foot overseas other than, going to the Bahamas or something like that. So it was a pretty bewildering experience to have set foot on and actually gone out and done something in that many countries. It's crazy to look back on, to say the least.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it. I mean, for what I hear from, I have other friends that are in the military as well, and when they go over to these countries that are in the Middle East or Asia, things like even Africa, it's like completely different experience of how we're used to living in America,
Oh, it's a culture shock for sure.
And I think a lot of people should experience that to see how good we actually have it here. I mean, I can't speak from experience because I've never been, but
I completely agree. I feel that experiencing different cultures definitely helps you grow, not only professionally in the workplace and seeing how other people act, but personally as well, because you can see how other cultures actually approach each other, how they act, how they respect each other. And, the United States, we have a very, I could say a special type of culture with how we treat each other, the way we joke, the way that we talk to our parents, the way we talk to our grandparents. It is just completely, completely different. And being able to experience the other cultures definitely gives you a better appreciation for how everybody acts culturally.
And that's awesome to hear. Have you had any crazy experiences during your time in the military?
Way too many to count.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about your YouTube channel a little bit. It is called The Arcade Dad, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that's how people can find him. Just search him on YouTube, The Arcade Dad. Guys, he has a very awesome channel. He's been around for how long now, Tony?
About a year and a month and a half.
So just over a year, and you have how many subscribers, sir?
At last count, 2,250.
So he's not doing too bad, guys. A year on YouTube, and he has almost 2,500 subscribers. That's nothing to shake a stick at, that's for sure. But, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel focusing on the arcades and not, a certain other niche or anything like that?
Well, I've had a couple of different YouTube channels in the past where I was just pretty much messing around, having fun, making YouTube videos. There's actually a YouTube channel out there, believe it or not, that's still floating around out there where I reviewed public bathrooms, where I would rate them on how dirty or clean they were. And I ran into some pretty grungy stuff. So, focusing on arcade games, my wife Jen is from the Philippines. We actually brought her over from the Philippines and got married here. And they have arcades in the Philippines, but she's never really been because, like me, she doesn't come from a rich family background, so she never really experienced the arcade. She's seen them, but she's never played in them. So I brought her to Dave & Buster's before everything crazy happened out there. And she saw me playing these arcade games and went in just, to her, a massive amount of tickets. And she knows that I watched arcade YouTubers. I've watched Matt3756 for the past 3 or 4 years now. Watched Arcade Warrior, Plush Town Wins, Crane Couple, all those guys. Carson and Trevor, coming up on 2 years now. And so I've always had a passion for doing this stuff and playing in the arcades. And I hit a jackpot, and she was recording it on a Whack and Win, which is actually the first video on her channel. It's a 10-second video of her holding her phone like straight up and down, like the holy grail of no-nos for YouTube.
Yeah, the vertical way.
It was horrible. She recorded it, and I hit the jackpot on Whack and Win, and she goes, "Tony, put this on YouTube." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to put that on YouTube." And she goes, "No, you really need to start a YouTube channel. You always watch it. Just do it. I know it's your dream to hit 100,000 on one of the 50 channels you've had in the past. You should just do it." And we actually found out she was pregnant not a month and a half before this incident. And me, I'm a very big, straightforward, smart butt. I have a smart response and sarcastic about everything. And I said, "What am I going to call it, Jen? The Arcade Dad?" And she goes, "Actually, that sounds like a really good name." So the channel was born.
That's kind of interesting, yes. And then a few months later, your young one was brought into the world.
Right in the middle of a 24-hour live stream, yep.
Right in the middle of a 24-hour live stream. That didn't quite come through all the way, so I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, we did the second 24-hour live stream for us hitting the 1,000 subscriber mark. A couple months later, and I told everybody, you know what? We've already done one 24-hour live stream. Y'all are begging for another one. When we hit 1,000, we're gonna do another one. We hit 1,000, did the live stream. 19 hours and 46 minutes into that live stream, Jen went into labor and said, "Okay, Tony, we have to leave."
So unfortunately, you couldn't finish the live stream, I'm assuming.
No, there was no finishing that one.
I couldn't take it on the road with you? No, I'm just kidding. So not only was the Arcade Dad as the channel born, but again, so was your young one.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome to probably be, a first-time dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. So when was the birth? What day was that? Or was that this year, or was that 2017?
That was November 5th of 2017.
Oh, wow. So there you go, guys. You know when to send gifts in for the little tyke at Tony's home there for his fan mail box.
He is actually about to take his first fully on his own non-supported steps. He's trying to, as we speak. Jen actually texted me about 5 minutes ago and said that he took his first step and put his weight on it and then fell down. So he's going to be walking really soon. Oh,
man. And then you're going to be having fun chasing him everywhere, right?
We already do.
Okay, so doing your YouTube channel, I've come across some issues with certain locations that kind of don't want you to film or anything like that, or maybe give you a hard time about filming. Have you ever had any locations like that? And if so, what have you done to deal with it?
Yes, we have had only one place of all the places that I've filmed and traveled around to. We've only had one that had an issue with us filming, and it was the Dave & Buster's in Nashville, and that was just a catastrophic failure.
And I mean, that's kind of surprising considering it's such a big area, and there's a lot of everything going on, tourism, and usually a lot of tourism involves a lot of filming yourself at places and things like that. So it's kind of surprising that is like that.
It was surprising to us, too. Dave & Buster's was actually one of the places that we filmed at on a regular basis. We never had an issue there from the day we started our channel. I mean, heck, the first and second video we spoke about earlier was recorded at Dave & Buster's. And it was crazy how it went down. We just went there at, literally 5 minutes after they opened on a Sunday. The building was empty. not one customer was in there, and we were just approached from the back by one of the new managers and said, no, turn off your camera now. You need to delete all your footage. If I see your camera, I'm going to physically escort you out. It went from 0 to 150 within 2 seconds.
Wow. And that's crazy that like that someone wants to like be that way. But I mean, I can understand with some of the videos and channels that are out there that showcase maybe we'll say immoral ways to play the games or giving some false information, and it kind of gives a bad name to those of us that do the real videos, like the actual legit real videos.
Oh, absolutely. The number one thing that me and Jim decided on whenever we started this channel was that the first thing that we're always going to focus on is family friendliness. And, we're always going to be family friendly. We're always going to, you can sit down and watch our channel with your kids because we are too as a family. And we watch other YouTubers like JJ General One and everyone in the call council as a family. Jen and myself both watch it. Trey's always with us, which he won't understand it yet. But, we still try to instill those values in him early.
And that's always a good thing. I mean, he's he's going to be one here in a couple of months. And, he's going to start comprehending and understanding what's going on. And, hopefully he becomes as big of a Matt fan as you are, because it seems like everybody's a big Matt fan, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's a big Matt fan. And the second big thing that we focus on is fair play at the arcades. And when I say fair play, a lot of people see that as, arcade fair play. They're not going to rig their machines. But I see it as a two-way street. If I'm going to go into an arcade, I can go into an arcade at this point, and I know that I can jackpot a dang big majority of their machines. However, I'm not going to do that, especially while I'm filming, because I understand that it is a business on their end and they need to make profit too. So if I record a video and I play a couple of games, I'll plan having fun and just recording a video. And then if I see a jackpot that I want to hit, I'm going to hit that jackpot. Come heck or high water, I'm going to hit it. And sometimes it takes me one play, sometimes it takes me 10. But, believing in fair play of the arcades is, to me, it's mutual respect with the arcade. Like, yeah, you're allowing me to film. You're allowing me to come in here and have fun. That I can hit these jackpots, but I'm not going to. You guys deserve to make your money, and I like to make my videos, so it's an equal trade-off.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, too, a lot of this filming and stuff that we do, it could be considered as free advertising for the arcade itself. Like, they're not paying us in any way, shape, or form. I mean, now there could be a time or two where, like, somebody like Matt or somebody like Arcade Warrior is like sponsored by an arcade or something. They bring them in, they give them free play, whatever. I mean, I've never heard of that, but I mean, it is a possibility that could happen. And I mean, at that point, then you're looking at like the sponsorship thing. But for the most part, we go in there and we're just looking to have fun. We just want to play the games, and we just kind of want to film ourselves doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, before this incident, I was real good friends with a couple of the managers, a lot of the game techs, almost everybody that was working the counter. It was a very, very, very polite and awesome location to film at. I like having a good working relationship with people like Ivan over at Big Top Arcade and Pigeon Forge, where we're going to be next Thursday. Awesome guy, awesome, fun arcade. And we work very well together. He lets us go in there and film. We spend our money and we film, and we make sure that we don't immorally play the games. We don't cheat. We don't try to find ways to hack. We don't find loopholes in the games to exploit the game for tickets. And, it's very much appreciated in a lot of the arcades that we play at. And, the managers knowing that, it helps them welcome you into the arcade, and it's a nice, very friendly atmosphere.
That's always a good thing to hear. Now, going on to the, you've had 1 year on YouTube. You're at 2,500 subscribers, almost. What have you ever been recognized in public by anyone at any arcades you've been at?
Surprisingly, yeah, several times.
And does that always take you by storm? Like, you're just not ready for it, and it's like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, people are actually recognized. I remember when I first got recognized, I think I had like 1,000 subscribers. And someone recognized me, and they're like, "Hey, you're that dude that hangs out with Matt and everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Oh my god, I want to get a picture."
Yeah, it's every single time it happens, and I really honestly don't feel like that's ever going to go away. I do public speaking for a large part of my career. And, people recognize me all the time for whenever I'm doing my job and I'm in my work uniform, and they're just like, oh, you're this guy, cool. It's a completely different feeling whenever it comes from somebody that has seen me on YouTube. My favorite caught off guard example actually wasn't from me, it was from Jen. The last time that we were in Pigeon Forge, actually, we were at Rockin' Raceway Arcade, and, Jen's seen a couple people come up to me, take pictures, or ask me for a signature, which to me is still weird. Like, my handwriting is like a 12-year-old girl. It's just a bunch of loops and circles. But for people wanting me to do some loops and circles on their plushie, amazes me, and I'm super humbled by it. But the best one I've ever seen was a lady came up to me, and I was playing Yahtzee. I was sitting down, Jen was recording it. And we weren't even wearing Arcade Dad stuff. It was just normal clothes. We were just in there just getting pretty much B-roll footage, of us playing the game because I already jackpotted it. And I was like, well, there's no footage pre-jackpot, so I need to get a couple more before we get the Yahtzee to put in there to progress the storyline. And this lady came up, and I'm mid-play, taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey, are you on YouTube? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she looked at my face and said, oh, my God, it's the Arcade Dad. And she looked and she goes, I recognized Jen from halfway across the arcade, and I saw Jen with the camera, and I had to come over and see if it was really you. And she called her whole family and said, guys, it's Jen and the Arcade Dad. And Jen, who normally records the interactions between me and fans, just because it's it's fun and feels good for us to go back and watch, us meeting people that like and support our content. Jen did not record this. She was in complete awe. And it was like she was completely starstruck at the people that were starstruck by her being there. And I could just see her eyes swelling up. She was about to cry because she just didn't know how to take it. And it was just an amazing experience.
That's pretty cool, actually. And it's kind of funny, too, because, you think that the star of the channel, if you will, is the one that would get recognized. But sometimes if you have someone helping you or something, they get recognized as well.
Oh, and it just made my day, just seeing that Jen was getting recognized, because she does show up in our videos, and she's going to be in them a little bit more along with Trey, especially in the videos that we have pre-scheduled to go out. And for somebody to just pick her out of the crowd, just knowing how it feels personally for that, and knowing that Jen, the camera people are so much underappreciated, all the time. And the people, like the sidemen, as some YouTubers call them, of the content, they don't get the recognition that they deserve, which is why I shout her out on the live streams all the time. And for somebody to actually see her and recognize her and just want to meet her, that made me so happy. And a lot of people will be like, no, look at me, I'm the Arcade Dad. No, it was, I was just in shock. Like, they want to get a picture with Jen, and she's just standing there like a trophy.
And you know what? And that's totally awesome. And I think that's really cool. I mean, I don't hear about that happening too often. So when I do, I think it's just a great story. And congratulations to Jen for being recognized and, dealing with it in such a good way too.
Yeah, she didn't run away from it. I was very proud of her.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. But speaking of like other YouTubers and stuff that maybe inspired your channel and things like that, people you said you've watched, is there anyone that you would absolutely, that you haven't done yet, that you would like to collab with?
Definitely Carson, Trevor. I love their energy. They're just fantastic guys, just really down to earth and really cool. Of course, Matt, he is the god of all YouTube, and speaking back and forth with him offline, just very humble individual. I'd like to hang out with him a little bit and kind of pick his brain a little bit more. I like to do Arcade Warrior. He's wacky and wild, and he kind of matches my personality off camera a little bit. So I'd like to see the world explode if we threw out a video. It'd just be hilarious.
That's crazy. That's cool, though. But, I mean, you're dropping a lot of good names there. People that I have worked with and people that I haven't worked with, Arcade Warrior being one of them by far.
Of course, I've collabed with almost every single person in the Call Council except one, and I'm going to leave his name out of this one, but we got to figure something out soon to do as well.
And that person would be me, guys, who he's talking about, who he's talking to right now on this podcast. He's trying to guilt me here now, so.
I'm trying to secure a collab with the guy that I'm actively in a collaboration with.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a collaboration, if you will. But it's a different kind of collaboration. So, like, how much do you win? Like, do you just win tons and tons of stuff, or is it just like minimal wins? And like, if what do you do with all the wins that you have?
Well, it all depends on the video that I'm recording. It depends, man. There's some arcades that we can go into where like it all depends on how the tickets and the prizes are priced and everything else. There's been some days where I'd go in there and I would win just a ridiculous amount of stuff for absolutely no reason. That was mostly before the channel, before I started feeling guilty about doing it and seeing how okay, well, I only paid $20 and I just walked out with 30 different plushies, and I felt really bad about it and was like, that's not fair, Tony, you need to calm it down a little bit. And but now I'll go in and I'll play and I win, and everything that I win is on camera. Actually, now I don't go in and play for stuff off camera anymore. So everything that I have is authentic and on camera. And for the question of what do I do with all the wins, they are in a giant plush pile that I sit in front of and next to whenever I do my live streams.
And that's kind of cool. Do you have a special name for that pile or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's my plush pile. That's the...
Just a plush pile.
It is what catches me when I gallantly leap into it during my live streams.
And those are always fun to watch because you definitely have a lot of energy during the live streams and you keep it very exciting. So I must say that is definitely a fun part of watching you, besides the arcade videos as well. The live streams are always a lot of fun. All right, so you've mentioned the Claw Council a couple times, and I kind of touched on it before in the podcast before and on my YouTube channel. But like, if some people just haven't heard about it or know what it is, what is the Claw Council?
The short answer, because I'm pretty sure we're going to get into more of the long answer a little bit later in the podcast. The short answer is we are a group of arcade YouTubers that...
Hang on, you kind of muted yourself there a little bit. Were you moving around or something?
Yeah, I kind of tripped.
Yeah, you got really muffled.
Okay, so let's try this again. Now, the short answer is the Claw Council is a group of arcade YouTubers who come together to not only build each other up and build each other's channels up and, offer suggestions and critiques on what we do, but we also kind of piggyback on each other and make sure that all of our stuff is not clickbaity. You're never going to click on a title or a thumbnail of a video from a Claw Council member that's going to mislead you in any way, shape, or form. We make sure that all of our content is always family friendly, and that's not just stuck to the YouTube videos, but our live streams as well. You're not going to log on to a live stream and hear us bashing other people. We stay away from crazy YouTube drama and rumors and all that other good stuff. And we just like to get together and, shoot the crap off camera and make sure that we have good quality content for all the viewers out there.
And that's always a good thing to hear. In this day and age anymore, families are always looking for family entertainment, if you will. Things that the parents and kids can sit down and watch together. And I mean, a lot of people enjoy arcades and things like that, carnival games, our live streams, things like that. They can tune in anytime to any one of our videos in the Claw Council, and they know that they're tuning into not just quality content, but stuff that is safe for the entire family to enjoy, kids to 89 years old or older. I mean, if you enjoyed the arcades, you're going to enjoy our videos. I mean, there's no short way to say that, I guess.
Absolutely. And the big thing that I'm trying to focus on now, and the new direction that I'm going to start moving with my channel pretty soon, is I'm showing the parents out there, and Nola Dadaway, another member of the Claw Council, does a great job of this, and Kevin and Shan from Dragon Claw Games do a great job of this. It's showing them that, you can go into the arcade as an adult with your kids, and you can still have a good time. You don't have to, sit at the bar area of Dave & Buster's and let your kid run off and play games by himself. You can actually get in there and hang out as a family. And, like the families like to watch our videos. What's wrong with the families actually going to the arcade and doing what we do? The answer is nothing. And I'm trying to point that out more and more as my videos progress.
And that would be awesome to see, instead of just parents dropping their kids off and giving them either a set amount of money or like a play card for the area and just be like, here you go, see you later. Actually, going into the arcade area with them, as you said, instead of sitting at the bar and actually learning the games or playing the games with them, because a lot of games now actually are meant for, sometimes more than one person or at least an audience to enjoy the person playing it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And and the parents can go in there and be like Drew the Midway Maniac, again, another member of the Claw Council, and they have the mental ability to work these games out and start hitting these jackpots and show their kids how they can hit these jackpots. And ultimately, instead of having your kid go put, $30 worth of swipes on Big Bass Wheel, get bored halfway through, and then go do something else, you can be there helping them out with those games, and not wasting so much money and actually being able to take home some awesome prizes as well.
And that's totally cool thing that we're trying to aim for, and hopefully maybe spread that culture out there. So you've already touched on who founded the Claw Council and things like that, but why was it started? I think a lot of people see a group of people get together and they're like, well, why did this happen? Why was this necessary? Why can't people just do their own individual things? Why does there have to be a group of you guys, or what's the whole point of it?
That is a very, very good question, man. So the Claw Council actually started as a brainchild between myself and Dragon Claw Games. We were on a Discord call one day, and we were just going back and forth about what we like to see in our videos and stuff. And I had this idea come up, and I said, dude, what if we could get a couple other YouTubers in here to kind of piggyback off of what we're talking about? We can help them out with their videos. They can help us out with ours. We can figure out the best formula to make a really good video for the viewers out there. And we could call it something like the Arcade Dad family, because that's what we're trying to reach. We want to bring the entire arcade YouTube community in as one big family. And Kevin goes, I like that. I've been thinking about that exact same thing, because we've been talking a lot back and forth about these ideas. He said, I've been thinking about that too, but I was thinking we could call it something cool like the Claw Council. And I was like, okay, your name is so much better than mine, so we're sticking with that.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a fun name, and I mean, it's crazy how you just bounce ideas off of someone and you come up with something just incredible,
Yeah, and we started bringing in other people. We had Devil's Arcade Maniac was in the Claw Council for a little while. We brought in Nola Dad 08 next after that. Another awesome family arcade channel. And, I started talking back and forth with Brian whenever I was live streaming on YouNow. Me and him are very, very intellectual focused. So we had some real deep conversations about YouTube theory and analytics and all that good stuff, the boring stuff part of YouTube out there. And so we brought him in, and he instantly got to work just tearing up the Claw Council. He started the clawcouncil.com. After that, we wanted to bring in someone else that was fun like us and just loved our stuff, and we loved his stuff. So Drew the Midway Maniac came in, and then last but not least, JJ General reached out, and we said, well, we can't have a Claw Council without the General. We got to have someone to lead the troops. So you.
And that's crazy that you guys, I kind of stumbled upon it. I kind of knew who you guys were a little bit. I knew individually, Dragon Claw Games, the Arcade Dad, Nola Dad 08. I had no idea before I joined, that there even was this Claw Council thing. Because I don't know if you guys really talked about it all that much in your videos or anything like that. And it was one of those things just kind of, okay, what is the Claw Council kind of thing? And I asked you guys, and you're like, well, here, it's what we're all about, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that sounds awesome, and I was kind of like, maybe they'll let me in too. I mean, I'm family friendly 99% of the time. I mean, I have a couple friends that like to use a few words, and I bleep them out in my videos, but I mean, I try to keep it as family friendly as possible. There's just, you can't control everything, and that's why we have the censor bleep, of course. So you mentioned most of the, all the members of the Claw Council, not most, all of them. Nola Dad 08, Drew the Midway Maniac, Dragon Claw Games, yourself, and myself. But are there any future prospective members that maybe people are looking at that maybe, hey, they're family friendly, maybe they should join the Claw Council too?
There are, I'd say, 2 or 3 that we've been tossing around ideas about. We're going to keep them confidential because, you never know what could or could not pan out. We could have somebody that we'd like to have, and they're interested in it 100% ready to go, and then something happens, and it's like, oh, either on their channel or on our part, and one of the parties has to say, well, let's take a step back for a second, and let's reevaluate this scenario.
And so you were saying about the website and everything, that website is?
It is www.clawcouncil.com. If you get on that website, then you can see everybody's channel on there. We each have our own individual page, and you can also get a direct link to this podcast on there as well.
Yes, an RSS feed, and if you guys remember, this podcast is now on iTunes too, so don't forget to subscribe on there if you haven't already.
Absolutely. And I think one of my favorite things about the Claw Council, just want to jump in and say it, man, like, we do all this stuff for the channel, but we're also there for each other as well. A lot of you may know or may not know, who knows. I actually recently had a back surgery, which has put me out, and like one of my favorite games to do is Jumpin' Jackpot before the surgery. I can't play that game anymore because of that surgery, so you're not going to see that on my videos anymore. But while I was out, I had a bunch of videos, I'd say about 10 weeks worth of videos just pre-scheduled. You know, I scheduled them back in December, and the surgery went from February all the way through the end of March and into April for the recovery time. And I didn't account for the extension of the recovery because it didn't go as it should have. And there was a 2-week gap where I had no content scheduled. And the Claw Council actually stepped up. They hijacked my YouTube channel, and they actually made videos themselves, not to post on their channel, but they posted them directly to my channel and took over my channel. And it was just a really cool experience to know that, you know, this group of people isn't just there for us on the side of YouTube, but we're there to help each other grow personally as well.
And that's totally awesome, and that's a good thing to have a group of individuals that can support one another in case something like that should happen. And it's totally cool that, you know, Dragon Claw Games and I guess Nola Dad 08 did it too.
Yeah, they both stepped up. They actually took my intro and just did some crazy effects to it and just straight up hacked the channel. It was amazing.
And that's totally awesome. And that kind of kept your viewers engaged, even though it wasn't technically you on the, you know, at the arcades and things like that. It was still content on your channel to keep the viewers engaged and know that, hey, he had an issue with, you know, something in life, and he's not going away, but he's just not going to be around for right now.
Exactly. And I told them whenever they were doing it, they had the idea to do it. I say, guys, if you guys do this, you need to take that opportunity and just promote your channels. You know, like, let's get CrossFeed going. Let's act like it's a collab. Take over my channel, show everybody what you guys can do, and bring people over. And they didn't do that. They totally disregarded everything that I told them to do. They also sent me, and like right before the surgery happened, they actually paid for a hotel for me and Jen out in Pigeon Forge and said, guys, I know you're going to be hurting for content. I know that's a long recovery. I know that you have this many weeks of videos here. We want to extend that for, you know, a couple more weeks just in case something happens. And they, you know, the Claw Council pulled money together, and they sent Jen and myself to Pigeon Forge because, you know, we were about to undertake this big expense for the back surgery, and we were able to go out to Pigeon Forge before it all happened, late December, and record all these extra videos that came out while we were out. And just awesome group of people. And they didn't even take the opportunity to shout themselves out like I told them to. You know, they very humbly did the video for my channel, and then at the end said, you could check us out. Here's our page. So they didn't even use it as one big marketing ploy like I wanted them to do. And that just shows, like, you know, it's not just, the Claw Council isn't just YouTube. You know, we are very, very close-knit and friendly with each other on the outside as well.
Exactly. I couldn't get that word out for some reason. But
difficult word.
Yeah, that X in there makes it hard. But still, it's one of those things. Like, we have a lot of fun. We talk on Discord all the time. There's an option to call or video chat on Discord, and we're always ribbing each other, having fun. We're bouncing thumbnail ideas off of one another. Like, hey, how's this look? Or, hey, how about this for a title for a video? And you know, and I'm kind of talking about the YouTube stuff, but still, it's like we support one another. And it's like, hey, man, how was your day today? Or did you do anything interesting? Or do you have any interesting plans for the weekend? And we just kind of chat like buddies do, hanging around, you know, doing whatever. And that's kind of what Discord is for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. And if we ever have any issues, like, there's countless times where something has gone wrong and we find ourselves on there just venting and just supporting each other. And this is the best part about it, was for a while there was a rumor going around saying that the Claw Council controls each other, like we're the Illuminati out there, you know, like, no, you can't put that video out, you know. And it was just really funny to hear. I was dying laughing when I heard that one. It's like, yeah, there's been several videos of mine that, I didn't think that were up to par, and they didn't tell me. The Claw Council, the all-knowing beings of the Claw Council didn't come down and say, no, don't put that out. It was hey guys, I'm not liking how this video is turning out. I threw it up on Lizzie. Could you check it out and see what's wrong with it? We go back and forth. We say, oh yeah, that part could be cut out, and you can replace it with, move the ending up to fill that space. And it turned out to be an amazing video. And that's what we're here for, just support pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we help one another and just kind of float ideas off one another and things like that. It's crazy the stuff that we come up with and that you wouldn't have come up with by yourself,
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you just got a bunch of irrational ideas off of each other and see what sticks.
Absolutely. So, guys, if you want to check out the Claw Council, again, that is www.clawcouncil.com. You can check out every single member of the Claw Council there, including Tony the Arcade Dad, myself, JJ General 1, Nola Dad 08, the Midway Maniac, and Dragon Claw Games. Again, this podcast will also be up there. I believe it's only the latest episode, so when the next one comes out, whenever that is, it's trouble securing guests, I will admit that. At least securing guests during their free time and making recordings happen, because as you can hear, I'm recording this with Tony over the phone. I'm actually holding my phone up to the microphone on speakerphone because we are having a lot of trouble with Skype and recording over that again, and I don't know why, but it seems like Skype just does not want to work for me for recording. So, but Tony, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, anything you could talk about before we get to like the Q&A section, and it's going to be a very short Q&A section. I did float it out there for Instagram and Twitter and even on my live streams the past couple days before recording this, and unfortunately I didn't get a lot of like responses.
Yeah, I'm not that popular yet, bro. That and during my live streams, I always tell people to ask me anything, and I'm very open and honest. I'm probably one of the most honest people you're going to run into, and that's a good and a bad thing. We touched on earlier about, thinking outside of the box and pitching around irrational ideas and stuff. And I'm actually this Saturday going to be starting up a new type of live stream where I'm going to be pretty much showing people my thought process, not only when it comes to editing videos and coming up with ideas, but when you're playing arcade games, you have to think outside of the box to figure out how to get that impossible jackpot. Thinking outside of the box is, you're taking something that's impossible and figuring out how to make it possible. So on these live streams, I'm actually going to be getting a bunch of level 6 through level 10 puzzles, some of the hardest puzzles that you could get your hands on. And my goal is going to be to think outside of the box, live on screen for everybody, and solve them live without any sort of tutorial or instructions or anything like that. So I can kind of walk everybody through the thought process of not only how I've created magic tricks in the past, but also how I approach my YouTube channel and everything that goes on with it.
Well, yeah, I guess you could have brought that up that you were a magician as well, kind of thing.
It's a whole other thing.
Well, we didn't touch on it all. So, like, do you consider yourself, basic level, intermediate level, advanced level?
I will always consider myself basic level. I've created a couple of different magic tricks. I've actually done a couple of escape shows down in Florida. I've done just a bunch of different types of magic tricks. The reason I'm always going to consider myself basic is because whenever I run into any sort of a roadblock, the first thing that I do is I go back to the very basic card and coin tricks that I learned whenever I was 10 years old. And that helps kind of ignite the creative and the outside of the box thinking. And, the basics and the basic movements of everything is the best way to get better. So even if I ever became a stage magician, I would always tell people I am still a basic level magician.
Well, okay. Maybe I didn't mean basic, but maybe beginner level. Basic sounds like, like it's derogatory descending. Beginner's probably a little bit more, not as harsh, if you will.
Yeah, I would say more of the intermediate level. I don't do very basic is the sure card magic tricks anymore. I moved up to a lot more difficult tricks to do that needs a lot of sleight of hand, a lot of dexterity, metal bending, and coin magic, and all that other type of stuff.
Ooh, metal bending. You could teach Matt how to bend metal with his mind like he does in most of his videos.
He blows my mind every time he uploads something.
All right, well, let's get to the Q&A stuff, and this is going to be pretty much the last part of the podcast here. So, like I said, I floated it out there on Instagram and Twitter, but you say you always have, ask me anything on your live stream, so maybe everyone already knows everything that they want to know. Maybe that's why I didn't get a lot of response.
I kind of ruined that one for you.
It's all right. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so I got an Instagram question here. It's from Danielle.0123. And it says, what age did you start playing the claw, and then your hardest prize that you've won?
I started playing the claw whenever I was 14 years old at the Winn-Dixie store that we were talking about earlier. The most difficult prize I ever won was in a video called I Want That. It's a series that we're going to be bringing back very soon. It's actually really funny how that one started. We decided that since we're new parents, we have to get mentally ready for Trey to get older and start saying, I want that at every toy that is on the shelf. So we decided that, we need to learn how to save money too and not just spoil him. So I decided to call this series I Want That, where we find a prize and then we try to win it for a set amount of money that's cheaper than what we could buy it for. And we went to an arcade and they had a 5-foot-tall plushy surfboard. So me, this was back earlier in the channel before the back issues happened, and I said, the jackpot on Jumpin' Jackpot is solid right now. I think for $5 I can hit that jackpot enough to win that surfboard, and we did just that. It was the most tiring and most worked for jackpot and prize I've ever won in my entire career.
Well, I mean, that's the hardest you've worked for a prize, but like, let's say playing the claw or something. I mean, this might be what they're going for, like the hardest prize that you've won, maybe from like a claw or something like that.
Oh, that's a very good, very, very good question. So shout outs to Danielle for that one. I'm gonna have to think deep for that one. I would say probably it was probably going to be one of the Tariba prize actually that I won in my Tariba tips and tricks video. There was one prize, and it was a single arm claw, and it was a Gudetama that I was trying to win. The only clip that made it into that video was the win itself, because it was just insane. But it was supposed to be an easy win. It was a single claw. The Gudetama had hooks taped to it, and I was making perfect progress. And I ended up having to spend an additional $30 to win this thing because I made one stupid mistake and misjudged where that claw was going. And I pushed that Gudetama not only to starting position, but into the back corner of the machine, way past starting position. Oh, no. And I knew the claw was going to move it. So I spent an additional $20 or $30 moving that bad boy all the way back out to the edge of the chute. It was so it drove me crazy. And then it somehow, with the one claw, picked it up and dropped it and knocked it into the press chute that last play.
And that is just crazy because, as a fellow Tariba player, I know all about the struggles of, I just put it back, or I just moved it back. I did all that work, and then one move, it put it right back where it was when I first started.
Oh, or like that one time that me and you were on Discord, and we were watching that one guy play for that box on Tariba, and no matter how far he got it and got it close to winning, he always did that one move that put it back to reset.
And that was for like a cleaning robot or something, like a Roomba, and that was just crazy. So bad for that guy. Oh, I think we watched him for a half hour. And we did.
He easily put $250 for that cleaning robot. That's probably like $20 at Walmart.
Oh. Yeah, that hurt to watch. But, so like I said, that was the only question we got. Like I said, I did float it out there a couple times on different social media platforms. I don't know if people just didn't see it, or maybe, like you said, you answer all the questions on your live streams. Maybe everyone knows everything they wanted to ask or something. Who knows?
I try to stay as engaged with my audience as possible. If there's any questions in the comment section, I make sure that they're answered within 24 hours of them typing them. I read every single comment as much as I can that comes through on live streams and answers the questions. I am not that difficult to get a hold of in the comment sections of my videos at all.
And that's totally awesome. So, all right, Tony, I guess that's pretty much about it for this podcast. I mean, I don't have anything else written down or slated for asking you. Is there anything else, like I said, that you wanted to bring up before we end this podcast?
Nope, I think that was a successful run, sir.
All right, well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Guys, if you want to check him out, you can check him out on YouTube. Just search for The Arcade Dad. Or you can go to, alternatively, the Clock Council webpage, www.clockcouncil.com, and click on the Arcade Dad's picture on there. It'll take you right to his YouTube channel. Tony, again, thank you so much for being on. We learned a lot about you, the Clock Council, and other stuff just in this world today. The magician, to Reba, and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, life experience of a 90-year-old and a 30-year-old body.
But congratulations once again too on being a first time father. Trey's almost a year old now. Bet you that's hard to believe, huh?
Oh, absolutely. We're already planning his 1-year pictorial and cake smash party.
Oh my goodness, the smash cake. Those are the best. I've been to a few of those parties in my life. But
and they were all yours.
Yeah, exactly. Smashed the cake right in my face, right? See, guys, this is the kind of fun that we have in the Clock Council. We just pick on each other and have the ribbing and the fun. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, also known as JJ General One. You can check me out. Follow me on all my social medias, Instagram and Twitter at JJ General One. My Facebook fan page, facebook.com/JJ General One. YouTube, it's all one word. Or you can check me out on YouTube at JJ General One. If you guys want to drop a subscribe to Tony, that'd be totally awesome. If you want to subscribe to anyone in the Clock Council, just go to the webpage, www.clockcouncil.com, and check out their channels there and give them a subscribe as well. But again, guys, this was the All About the Arcades podcast. My name is Joe, JJ General One. Thank you so much for listening, and as I always say, I'll catch you guys next time.